Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Facebook. Good evening, YouTube and Instagram. I finally made it to IG. Good evening, everyone. For those who are catching a replay, welcome on tonight. I'm excited to be able to share with you all on tonight on being rich and how we can actually have it all, but we can still be broke. And for those of you just now getting to know me, my name is Michelle Harris, and I provide education and resources to assist individuals to up-level their lives and to walk into their purpose fulfilled. So welcome on tonight. I just want to start with a question to pose to you all on tonight is, do you all know, I want you all to kind of think about this for a minute, is do you all know that you can be rich even where you are now? I want you to kind of think about that for a minute because all of us have been created with a purpose and a plan. And we know that we were born, we were created. And one thing sometimes that we tend to get throughout life is along the way, sometimes people are just living. But do you really know and accept the fact that you can truly be rich where you are now? As I talk about the theme of how you can still have it all and be broke, we think about various things that we deal with in life, experiences that we have. And the scripture that I want to bring up, I'm going to kind of set the tone. And I love reading the Passion Translation because it just brings it so plain to you. But one thing that I want to read is it was about a farmer, and he was setting up, he was getting his crops together, and he had all this fruitful land. And he was saying, well, I'll just go ahead and just tear all this down and build up this massive barns. I'll build all this stuff up so I can sit back, surround myself with comfort and ease, and I enjoy my life with no worries. But in Luke, the 12th chapter, and the 20th through the 21st verse, it says, God said to him, what a fool that it is that you trust in your riches and not me. This is the very night the messengers of death will demand to take your life. Then who will get all the wealth that you have stored up for yourself? The same thing will happen to all of those who fill up their lives with everything but God. So I want you to kind of start thinking about different goals and dreams that you have. And I want to just do a little exercise. First, I want you to begin to just take your hands and just put them together. Then I want you to take your hands and put your thumb over your other finger another way. When we typically do certain things, this right here is of comfort for me, which is my left thumb over my right thumb. But this right thumb going over my left thumb is a little uncomfortable for me. And many a times we tend to do things out of routine, things of what we have been taught, things of what we have learned. And you think about even from your day to day and week to week, even a person who is the most spontaneous typically has a routine. We have certain things that we operate in because this is what we have been taught. This is what we are comfortable with. And this is what we are accustomed to doing. Now, when we're saying that we want to be able to go to this next place, we want to be able to go to this next level. And many have developed these goals, these New Year's resolutions, which I don't do New Year's resolutions, because what typically New Year's resolution does is set us up for failure, because we'll set the goals for the year, which we really haven't dealt with the root as to why we haven't achieved the goals that we desired from the year before. So we continually make New Year's resolution goals when we haven't achieved the goals from last year. So I want you to kind of start thinking about different goals that you have set, healing that you said that you were going to get, things that you're saying that you were going to do, but yet we may start out good, but somehow we get back to the same routine. It is because we have become accustomed to comfort. And anything sometimes that make us uncomfortable, like with me putting this right thumb over my left thumb, is a little more uncomfortable. We tend to go back to what is comfort for us. Now, as I said on last week, is just because it is good for us does not mean that it's good for God. When you think about how we say that we want to be able to go to different things, we want to be able to do different things in life, we want to be able to go to our healing and go to this next level, we have to be able to be at a place where we can choose to do different. But we have been taught, society has taught us. And I think about even in my life, various things that I was taught as a child, and even growing up, that taught me to be a strong woman, that taught me to be independent, that taught me to not have to depend on a quote unquote man to be able to do stuff, because I was taught to be independent. I was taught to just get through. And in that, yes, it helped me along the way. But then when I had to deal with situations, or when I was trying to get in relationships that were healthier for me, because I was accustomed to a certain way, it hindered my growth and ability to be able to get into that relationship that I desire or that next goal. Because I constantly had in my mind of how things needed to be. So we can be at a place where we can have it all. We can be at a place where we can have the job, we can have the car, we can have all of these material things, but we still be broke. And the things that's really keeping us broke is what we fight in here, what we have been learned. But we have to be at a place that if we really want to get to that place, if we really want to go to that desire, if we really want to reach that goal, we got to get to the root. First thing, one thing that we had to do whenever we dealt with something on our job, and I used to work in consumer relations. And in consumer relations, we would deal with what we call level 2 and level 3 incidents. And those incidents sometimes led with death. And if there was a client or something that ended up passing away at the hands of, being treated by a provider, we had to do what we called a root cause analysis. And we had to go through and look at, okay, what really caused and what were the situations that led up to this individual to pass away? Was it something within the provider that they did not do? Was it something wherein with the member may not follow through with treatment? So it based upon that, what we call the root cause analysis, we began to provide recommendations on how they can begin to start making things better, how things may need to be refined, and how we need to start making adjustments and changes. Whenever we are saying that we're going to go to this place, we want to be able to go to purpose, we know that God has greater for us, we're claiming we're going to walk in our healing. If we don't deal with the root of the things that is really holding us back, if we don't deal with those mental constructs that we have been dealing with, that we'll get to a place, and then sometimes we will start at a place and we'll continue to go, but then something happens along the way, and then we're going back to what we used to do. And see, that's what many times when we start out with New Year's resolutions, we're going to the gym, we're going to exercise every day, and we're doing all of these things, and we're motivated. But it takes consistency and addressing these things at the root. And many times we do what is called a cover up, a Band-Aid, and we really don't address Why is it that I get to a certain place and I end up going back? Why is it that I said that I wanted to lose weight and I'm gonna do this thing, but somehow I keep going back to this, this place and eating these favorite snacks that I love? Why is it that I say I want to go to this place of healing, but I keep going to these places and dealing with people that I know are not good for me, but I continually deal with them? Why is it that I know that I need to do better, but I'm doing self-inflicting wounds by doing self-sabotaging behaviors because I have not dealt with the root? Why is it that I say that I want to be in this relationship wherein that I am so loved that when somebody comes into my life and they show me what real love is, I don't even really know how to accept it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of self-sabotage, and I'm going to sabotage the relationship and then try to blame it on them. If we do not deal with the root, if we do not address the things that we have dealt with in the past, of how we have dealt with mentally, of our behaviors, of how we try to go back to comfort, of how we go back to what we have learned and what has been ingrained in us, of things that we thought we really didn't value, but we do. If we really don't address those things, it's going to come back up. And what we'll do is we'll get to a place of a plateau, but we won't be able to go to this next level. This is why you see so many people that had it all. You think about the young man, Twitch Boss, who ended up committing suicide. He had everything. He had a beautiful family. He had everything you would think, talent, had it all. But something in here, just like that man said, I'm going to, in the word, I'm going to go ahead and build this up, and I'm going to sit back and comfort. But we have to realize that we have to deal with those uncomfortable situations if we really want to get to that place. When you think about Chelsea Chris, the Miss USA, committed suicide, had it all beautiful. And on the outside, it seems as though that everything was together. But because things here were not dealt with at the root, that there was no fulfillment. So we have to be at a place to think about, what is it within my thought processes, my behaviors that I need to address? What are those things that I continually feed in my mind whenever I say I want to work towards these goals? When I say I want to be at this place, it's going to be a new year, new me. This thing, I'm not going to accept any other things in my life like this anymore. I'm going to greater. But if we do not deal with the root, if we don't address these things, you will still have it all. You might be able to get there, but you're still going to be broken in your spirit. There's never going to be any true peace. So think about those things for a second. Think about, what is it that has been the holdup for me? Why is it that I know that I have a purpose? I know that there has been a deeper call. I'm talking to these people who know that they have a deeper call in their lives. That they wake up saying, okay, I want to be able to see something different. Michelle, I have tried this. I've tried, but it seems like I still don't have this place of peace. I need to be able to get to this different place. I know that there is greater, but we tend to accept what is subpar in our lives. We'll be content with getting the McDonald's when there is so much greater with a Del Frisco's that God has for us, but we'll accept subpar. We'll accept a piece of a man, a piece of a woman, just to be able to have some type of thing so we won't feel lonely, so we won't be able to feel this emptiness that we feel. Or if we at a place where somebody does show us love, oh, they boring, they can't do that. No. Or if I do get this job and I'm dealing with so many things, I'm trying to outperform, trying to do so much because of things of perfection that has been in my mind, that if it's not perfect, if it's not at that place, I'm going to feel like I'm not good enough. When you start thinking on the level of purpose, the things that's in your life will begin to shift on a whole different level. I'm going to say that again. When you begin to start thinking on purpose, the way that you move in your daily life will never be the same. You will change how you talk. You will not be speaking death whenever you are dealing with a hardship. You will take those situations that you feel are like stumbling blocks, but you look them as opportunities to grow. You will take those seasons and see that they are not there to kill you, but they're there to build you up. This is where you become to be at a place of being rich, no matter at what stage you are in life. I think about people who are in impoverished places, and they do not have the luxuries that we have. Even with my pastor, they shared a video of how this village had to get water, and how they had to get the water, take it, purify it, so it can be, so they'll be able to drink it and be able to shower and clean with it, and all of these things. They had to go through extra steps. And how we have the convenience to just go on, turn the faucet on, and have what we need to do. We have gotten to the place wherein if anything comes at a place that disrupts our comfort and our zone and our flow, we'll just go ahead and turn it away. I don't want to have to do anything else that'll cause me to have to do anything that will make me step out of my comfort zone. I don't want to, because even though sometimes people will say, people tell me, Michelle, I really want to do better, because there are sometimes people that whenever they come to me for counseling, I can tell whether they're in that pre-contemplation stage where they're kind of thinking that they want to change, or if they're really truly ready for change. Because they will say, this is who I am, this is what I've been accustomed to, and they will tend to make up excuses as to why they can't take care of themselves, as to why they can't really truly walk in their healing, or as to why someone else did something to them, and this is the reason why they're not able to really go to that place. We have to take the responsibility for our destiny. It does not matter what someone did to you. It's what matters now is what's going to be your response. Are you going to respond in victory? Are you going to respond and say, I'm going to do better? Or are you going to be at that place and say, this is just how it is. This is just how my life is. This is just how my family, this is how we are. I'm just like my mom, just like my dad. This is how it is. We have to make a choice. What is going to be your choice? What are going to be the things that you will say to yourself on today? That, okay, when you say this thing called rich, this is a thing that's called a peace that money cannot buy. This is a thing of waking up and walking into a purpose wherein you'll be able to do and walk in a business, to purchase, and write that book, to go into that ministry and feeling fulfilled. This is going into a greater purpose that's higher than yours, because walking into your purpose causes you to step out of yourself and step into a higher being, which is God, to be able to do the work through you. No time that I stand up, no time that I do a live, no time that I walk into doing a therapy session without taking the anointing with me, because it's higher and it's greater than me. And we get caught up in my talents, what I know, and how I can flow. But when you open up yourself and allow yourself to walk into your healing, allow yourself to be able to be used, allow yourself to be able to say, okay, I surrender it all. What is it that I can do? I'm not going to be like this man, this farmer, and say, okay, I'm just going to sit back and just let things fill up, and I'm not going to do anything, but I am going to walk into this thing, and I'm going to walk into it with boldness. I'm not going to allow, I don't care if I dealt with, my teachers telling me that I'm not going to amount to anything. I don't care if my mom said you're not going to be able to do anything. I don't care if my dad was not around and I was not able to experience a true father's love, because sometimes we begin to start thinking whenever we're in relationships and we begin to get things misconstrued, and we be thinking that that's how God treats us, that's how God is going to treat, and how we're going to do and how we're going to operate. And we really can't truly walk into that thing because we're thinking that he may throw me away, that I'm not able to be used. But he does not make mess. Yes, situations were not fair. Yes, it hurt. Yes, they were unfair. Yes, they have left you. Yes, they have abandoned you. But that is not the end of the story, but that's the beginning. Turn the page. Turn the page. We have to be at a place that when I ask that question is, do you know that you can be rich where you are now? I want you to start thinking about, what would your life be like if you can wake up and have it like you wanted it? If you could wake up and operate in the way and the desire that you have, what would your life look like? Would it be, I'm waking up and I'm walking into ministry? Would it be, I am writing this book and I'm able to speak life into people? Is it that I'm walking into my gift and I'm feeling like I'm walking in purpose? Is it I'm able to release this past, and this thing that used to bother me is not at a place where it's bothering me? What would that look like? What would that look like for you? So now that I asked you that question of what you desire for your life to be, I want you to look back over your 7 days. This past week. I'm not going to even talk about the first of the year. We're going to talk about this past week. And think about, what have you done day to day? What is it that you have done just this past, from this past Monday to this current Monday, to get to that place? Have you done anything to get to that place, or have you stayed in that place of comfort? Have you been doing anything to get to that place, or have you said, I got to get my rest. I can't be able to do that. I'm gonna get, we'll say that, and I'll say I'm gonna get because I'm from the country. I'm gonna get when I get. But what have you done today? What seed have you sown today for your tomorrow? You say that you want this healthy relationship, but you still responding to those text messages. You're still entertaining foolishness. You say that you want to walk into this ministry, but only thing you're doing is writing it down on paper. You have not put anything into action. Have you spoken life into someone on today? Have you practiced? No, we don't have to pray about anything that God has already confirmed for you, but he already confirmed a lot in his word, because he said in Ephesians 3:20 that he comes to give us life and give it to us more abundantly. And it's not for when we get to heaven. It's for us to have now. What are we going to do when we claim that 2024 is going to be our year? We will shout about that thing. We will proclaim that thing. But what are we doing in 2024 to have something different? What are we doing? What are we doing? Just think about that. Being rich, being at peace, walking and waking up and saying, I mean, because whenever I get finished with sessions, sometimes I be like, why? Like I said that. Oh gosh, I love it. Whenever I see people, my clients, and they have this aha moment. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I say some things, I'll be like, ooh, because I know this is a thing that I love to do. I love to see people walk. I love to see it. I love to celebrate people. This is what my calling has been. It's not easy all the time, but I know that this has been my purpose. So even though I may not get money paid for it all the time, but when I'm able to speak life into someone, whenever I feel that unction to be able to speak some life and I'm able to walk into it, it gives so much greater peace. But what is it? But I had to work past those thoughts of your words don't matter. You this country girl, nobody want to hear you. I had to work past those things of being comfortable. Okay, just work that 9 to 5 and just settling down and retire and just get in your comfort like that farmer. I'm gonna just let everything just roll in. Pushing past those limits. Pushing past those limits. So I encourage you on today to start doing a reflection moment. Start reflecting. What is it that you're doing today so you can be truly living rich for your tomorrow? What are the seeds that you have sown today so that you can be able to walk into that healing, to be able to walk into that new life, to be able to walk into those goals? But I have to deal with the root. Because if I don't deal with the root, it's just going to be a Band-Aid. You can buy the clothes. You can get all the makeup. You can put all the nice pictures on Facebook. You can do all of those things. But if I don't deal with the root here, this heart issue, this mind issue, all those things is going to be null and void. I can have it all, and I may not be at a place of committing suicide or having those thoughts, but I'm still staying complacent. I'm still not living in purpose. I'm still sitting back, watching everyone else go towards their thing. I'm clapping for everyone else, but now it's time for me to clap for me. Now it's time for me to get to that place. Now it's time for me to get to that relationship that I know that I deserve. Now it's time for me able to get to that place of writing that book. Now is that time for me to step out and hit live and talk to someone, even if I feel like I'm just talking to myself. This may be the time for me to step out, but I have to deal with the root. Because what I'll do is I'll go time and time again doing the same thing, same cycle. And I'm going to talk a little more in depth about that probably next week or however I feel led. I think I'm going to have to talk a little bit about how we do this cycle time and time again. Start, finish, going, not going, working hard but stopping, saying I'm going to go to healing but still doing self-inflicting wounds, self-sabotaging behavior. All of these things has a root issue. But it said here, how you be able to trust into those riches. How can you trust in the riches of what you feel like you've done and you sit in your place of comfort? That you keep it for yourself. Because you know you're not living here just for you. You living here to be able to do an impact in someone's life. You be thinking that the minor things that you do, they don't matter. You may have not ever met my grandmother, but she had a greatest impact in my life. I still think of, even she's gone on 20 years, but the impact that she made in my life was great. So you have the ability to make this impact, but I have to be able to make sure that the impact that I'm making, because I'm making some type of impact, but I want to be effective. I want to be efficient. I want to be on purpose, and I want to be whole. Because it's a greater type. They talk about swag and purpose. When you're walking into that thing with purpose and being whole, being healed, doesn't mean, and let me just say this, and I'm going to wind this up. Being at that place of walking in that purpose, walking into that place of peace, walking into your goals does not mean you're not going to have challenges, that you're not going to have situations. But the difference is, as opposed to that thing controlling you, you're having control over it. So the wound still may be there, but it won't be hitting as hard. So get it on today. You all got an assignment. I want you all to take an assignment on today and think about, number one, what has been the goals that I have set for myself? I want you to just take that time to start thinking about those things. Then I want you to start thinking about what steps, what small objectives have you done within this past week to walk towards that purpose, and how you plan to stay consistent. And then begin to start looking at, in the past, what has hindered me? And then how can I begin to deal with this root, so I won't just go to this plateau, but I can walk into that Ephesians 3:20, that when it says, I give you life and more abundantly, that I can have that abundance that money can't buy. So you all have a good night. Please like and share. I do have a link where you can buy me a coffee to continue to support the cause of what I do. I will continually provide resources, have events coming up soon, so definitely stay tuned. And also we'll be putting out a lot of things that we all can grow together. So I thank you all for joining in. Again, please like and share. You can buy me a coffee as well. And as always, I want to leave this with you all, to always remember this. You were created with a purpose and a plan. You were created as a special design. Let's walk this thing out, and let's walk this thing out in purpose. All right? Have a blessed night. Looking forward to connecting with you all on next week, and have a good night. Bye now.